Hey there, folks. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Erin Treacy is on. We're going to talk about burnout, how to manage your time. What are some things that you can do to elevate yourself and keep yourself calm at the same time? So, listen in. There's a moment in life when we sense an opening, where the life we've built begins inviting us into something more. Not because anything's wrong, but because we're ready for a deeper, truer expression of who we really are. This is the Lit Up Life podcast, conversations for those who are no longer interested in pushing, proving, or performing, and are ready to lead from truth, alignment, and inner authority. I'm Debbie Heiser, and here we talk about the inner shifts that change everything, how belief, identity, and energetic leadership shape the way you live, work, and choose. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about coming home to who you already are. Hey there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is Debbie Heiser on the Lit Up Life with Debbie Heiser podcast. And I'm excited. Erin Treacy is with us today. And Erin and I just met. I think you've maybe heard this before. Like a lot of times I have people I know, but I also have some people that I've met or have not met that reach out to me. And Erin was one of those, and her story kind of intrigued me, and I wanted to have her on. But I'm going to have her introduce herself first before we get into this, because as you all know, I think people do a much better job introducing themselves. So, Erin, take it away. Tell us who you are, where you come from, and like what you're doing today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Debbie, for having me. So, I am in West Virginia, the heart of Appalachia. I grew up in a multi-generational family business. And when I say multi, all of my great uncles, all of my uncles, my grandmother, it was everybody. If you got any two members of my dad's family together, at any location, the side of a soccer field, a PTO meeting, the dinner table, that was now a boardroom and whole discussions lit up. So I grew up in that. And so a lot of business just oozed in by osmosis. Didn't know it at the time, obviously, because you don't recognize that at 10, but came up in business. I was the long time, I don't want to call it a black sheep. They're all engineer business mind. I went to journalism school, but after some years of being out in the world, went back into family business and really understand how to sit in family business and all of the communication that goes with that. And now I do a lot of coaching and working with a lot of women who are working in businesses and they're trying to lead their businesses. They may have started businesses and they're trying to grow their businesses, but balancing business mom slash PTO parent slash the team coach, the
All
dance
the hats we
mom,
wear. Yep.
the volunteer. And so all of those things are really hard. And how do you manage all of those things? How do you show up in the places that you want to be? And how do you do it without being completely exhausted? I tell a lot of people if the day's out of control before your feet hit the floor, probably a sign you need to see somebody. It doesn't have to be me, but somebody, because there's some ways to be able to help you fix that.
Yeah, when the chaos becomes normal, then that's when we need help,
Yes.
right? We need support.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Erin, tell me the family business you've talked about before we got on restaurants. So, I'm assuming they were restaurants, the family business? No?
No,
Okay.
being in the heart of coal country, it was coal. It was a coal adjacent. My grandfather was born and raised in a long time coal family. He got into a coal mine and went, "No, this is not where I shall live my life." So he went and got an engineering degree and
Okay.
started a business and got all of his brothers out of the coal mines.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
they redid like long walls, hydraulics. If you don't know a lot about coal mine, all of the equipment that goes underground, and they all knew how to use it and how to work it because they had been doing it
Right. They've
in a
done it.
mine.
Yeah.
And so they did all of the work to maintain all of those parts and grew a multi
Yeah.
generational family business because there were so many, extended family.
Yeah. What a
They
great
all worked.
legacy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So tell me, you were talking about restaurant business. So what got you to this point, right? Like I know you've had some things. So let's go through that. I want to
Yeah.
know,
I've
like
had
you were in the restaurant business. So I want to know, like in that business, what did you learn? And then you had some other industries that you
yeah.
were in. So let's walk through that a little bit.
Well, so the restaurant industry I did for about 10 years. So that's been kind of the most recent. which that was a lot of years of learning in a lot of other places and kind of growing up the ladder, both, starting as the new employee, but working your way up and then ultimately to my own business. My mom was the HR and accounting department, and my dad was the maintenance department because they were semi-retired. And that was really fun. It's 50 style diners. My dad really wanted to be able to bring another generation into family business. So this is kind of what we came up with. And so my kids started working at the restaurant. So then I also saw it from that side as both my parents, I'm the middle, but I'm the one who's doing the day to day. And my kids are part of the employment team.
Yeah.
So, I saw the business from every version of a generational business at some point in my life. But it also really, because of all of the experiences I had, nobody taught me necessarily how to lead. There were certain things about how to speak up that I had learned, again, completely off to the side, one way, but not directly connected to leadership.
Yeah.
I had learned how to manage and write a review or write up a report about writing an employee up because I had taken middle management jobs. I knew how to make a schedule because I had
Yeah.
had middle management jobs, but nobody really said, how do you lead? How do you get these people to do what you need done and what the business needs done in a way that is effective, that doesn't suck the life out of you, because you went into a business for a reason. You loved whatever it was you came up with. And so it was really important to me, especially to teach so many of the young people. It was 50 style diner, no alcohol. So I had a lot of 16, 17, 18-year olds, high school, college kids. I had a lot of older adults as well. But you realize very quickly a lot of the adults had been treated horribly in a lot of their minimum wage types of jobs. And then these younger folks are in their first or second job and they have no idea how to talk to a boss,
Yeah.
how to show up, how to be accountable, how to.
So you were doing coaching, right? Like
I was
I
doing
talk a
coaching every day.
Yeah, I talk a lot about that. Like after spending 20 years in corporate America as an executive, you do a lot of coaching on the day to day, right? So the skills you learned there are transferable over to here. And then you went into TV. What did you do? You talked about
Well,
being a
I
journalist.
did TV first. So
Oh,
I
okay.
turned
Okay.
18 just a couple of years ago. I turned 18,
Yeah.
just a few, and actually started my first job in TV. I knew I wanted to be in television and where I was going to journalism school. And a friend of mine actually worked at a local station where I was going to college and said, do you really want to do this? And I walked into my first adult job interview where the news director asked me if I was really dumb enough to go into news and work for these wages, and I'm 18 and I need my foot in the door. I'm going to do this. And I said, yes. He said, great, go fill out the paperwork. That was the whole interview.
Yeah.
That was it. I was done. I worked Saturday mornings at 4 a.m. my
Woo.
entire freshman year of college. So I'd be driving to the station and my friends would be walking home from bars. For, but that's what I wanted, that overachiever, high achiever. I'm going to get where I want to go, got to get my foot in the door. And that really helped me because by the time I was in my senior year of college, during the week, my professor was the weekend anchor that I was his producer on the weekend. So I tell him what to do come Saturday and Sunday, and he's my professor Monday through Friday.
Oh, that's funny.
But
That's
I was
funny.
the only person in the whole class who had ever worked a day
Right.
that wasn't an internship in news. It's just, I wanted to get there. I wanted to be there. So I did that for about 15 years. But when you say, you started at the grunt work, I ran cameras on the floor at 4 a.m. until 9 a.m. every Saturday. And I worked my way up through being an assistant news director. And then divorce hit, and kids and TV schedules are not friendly.
Yeah.
So I got out and moved to nonprofit work for a while. I did some advertising. So I worked kind of on the other side of the building doing some things, and then went into the restaurant family business again because that was something we wanted to be able to do. And that lasted about a decade. So
Yeah. So I'm going to ask this question and then we'll take a quick break. But so why coaching? What prompted you to go there?
I think one of the biggest things, especially, I had always at some points been that person in the room that people asked questions to. So I was able to do a lot of that. But especially when we were in that phase of the restaurants, being able to really show up for people in these different ways. And yes, how you show up at work does affect how you show up at home, how you are at home, and being able to do that coaching in a constant kind of way that wasn't, I'm a coach, but just I care about, and how are you going to get to the next level, and how do you answer some of these questions? How do you ask questions, not just answer
Yeah.
questions
Yeah.
in work? How do you step up in those places? And so it was so important to me. And one of the things that I really thought about when we closed and through some of my own journey, and that is, where do I want to be next? What is the next iteration of all of the things that I've learned? And it was definitely coaching and showing up for other people so that they can get there, being somebody that will teach you how to get up the ladder, but in a way that actually is meaningful to you, but also lets you still be very happy and enjoy the work and the life.
Yeah, cool. And so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Erin, we'll dig into like, what do you help your clients do? How do they get there? Some of the tools that you use. So we'll be right back, folks. I want to pause for a moment because if you're listening to this, we were not meant to do this work alone. Build Her is the community I created for women who are building meaningful lives and businesses and want to grow without burnout, self-abandonment, or shrinking to fit. Inside Build Her, we gather monthly for real conversation, intentional teaching, and grounded connection with women who get it. This isn't about hustle, and it's not about fixing yourself. It's about being supported as you lead with clarity, confidence, and intention. So if you feel the pull towards a steady, honest, and expansive community, you're welcome here. Find the link in the show notes or join us at thelituplife.com/buildher. Okay, folks, thank you for coming back. And we are excited to have Erin here and talk about in this last half of the episode, kind of what do you, Erin, when you're talking with people, and let's like describe a little bit, like I work with entrepreneurs solely, mostly women, but I do work with men. I know you work with people that are also business people that have W-2 jobs. So kind of give us a little bit of context about who you work with, but then let's talk about like, what do you see the most with people? Where's the struggle and what are some tools or things that you do to help them overcome that?
So I think the struggle that I see the most, and this is regardless men to women,
Yeah.
is no matter what, we've all at some point in life read how to be productive, how to manage your time. And they're tools, but they've kind of led us astray in a lot of ways. They aren't realistic to life. So, what we've learned to do, and what is, I'll call a very American way of life, is we fill the calendar. And
Yeah.
we've blocked out the day, and it's got every little box, and it's all lit up, and it's got all the colors, and isn't it so pretty? And like, it's an art project. And then somebody's looking at it like, no, no, that's how I managed my time for the day. I'm like, no, no, that's an art project. Because that much time spent in managing time only was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so we made an art project, which was great, but it didn't make you any happier. It didn't organize your day any better. And most of the time, it drove you nuts because you got distracted or somebody asked you a question or interrupted. And then you're sitting there at midnight trying to work on something that you had blocked off in your schedule at 11 a.m. And so we've overmanaged and we've over meetinged and we've overdone these things in the I'm so connected. I have my smartwatch, I have my smartphone, I have my email,
Which is
I have
making
my
us
thing.
dumb, by the way.
I have all
Yeah.
these things, but honestly, they all got in the way and we never had time to think. So, how do you come up with the sales plan that you need to work on? How do you come up with the idea to present to a potential client? Or we don't have time in our day because we've so over scheduled because we were taught that's how to manage time.
Yeah.
And it's in fact the worst way to manage your time. So we really always start with trying to figure out how to reimagine those things. And there's a fun couple of different tools that I have. I have a fun business time matrix that I have people do and literally plot it out on a thing and we put all the meetings on there, and they figure out so much of their time is spent on things
Yeah.
that aren't ever going to move them or their business or their family for that matter to where they want to be.
Yeah, that's fun. A lot of times it's interesting because I kind of run into the same thing, and I really help people try to understand that we don't really manage time, we manage energy,
Mhm.
right? Because if you're doing things that you love, it fills your energy bucket, and time is of no, like certain things, we live in this 3D world where there's time constraints, right? Like doctors' offices are only open a certain time, post offices only a certain window, right? Banks, whatever. But it's really interesting when we try to get people out of those habits. I think about, I think it was Stephen Covey, right, that did all of that way back in the 90s and early 2000s with the planners, and they looked like briefcases. And I'm aging myself, but had you like plotting out all of these things.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes block timing works pretty well when you look at the universal law of rhythm and try to figure out, like, I know my creative and inspiration time is in the morning, so I don't
Yep.
fight that natural law, right? But like, yes, that whole idea, and I laugh because I have a color coded one, and it's more so because that's like an adult coloring book for me. So you're right, it is an art project, right? Like it relieves stress because I'm coloring and doing these
Because your
art
color,
things. Yeah.
and you need some of the color coding, but they'll, and like you said, Stephen Covey did a lot of work. Now I see all of these, especially because my kids run 20 to 27, and
Yeah.
I get, Mom, look at this TikTok, and they're like, she has this planner, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like 300-page book thick, and it's got a page for every day, and it's how they track their water and how they track their this
Yeah.
and I was like, so you're carrying a novel around? And they're like, yeah, and then I have all this other stuff that's on my phone's calendar that's not in this book. And I'm going, how? That's just more, it's more expense, and it's more just chasing looking busy, because busy, important people who are important are busy. So I'll fill my calendar because if it's full, therefore I am important. And I'm like, no, that's not that. And then it's crazy how we do completely trick ourselves, right?
Oh,
Into
totally. And I tell people it's such an oxymoron of what we're taught, but I tell people when I'm having fun and I'm leading my own lit up life, the less I work, the more I make.
absolutely.
And it's that whole law of attraction thing that happens for people. So, yeah. So, when you think about some of the tools you mentioned, the time matrix, like tell us some other things that you like, if people are listening right now and saying, what can I do right now to help myself, move forward? Give me some ideas.
I think people would be shocked at how much putting their phone down, and it's the step that is both the easiest in theory and the hardest in
Oh,
reality.
that dopamine hit.
Um,
Yep.
but it's the one that's maybe the most important. You need 2 minutes. And I'm somebody with ADHD. I need noise around me. My brain just, it'll start running through a list if a room is too quiet. So it's not that the room has to be dead silent, but you just need time to decompress a day or to set your day. So
Yeah.
I often use the analogy, do it in your car. If you aren't the drop off parent, you aren't the carpool parent in the morning, before you pull out of the driveway, because the story that your children can't bother you in the bathroom is a lie. From a 27, my kid's 27 to 20, and choose to live at home, and I still can't go to the bathroom in peace.
Yeah.
So the only space that I am truly alone is the car. So it's not connected to the car when I get in. It's, in a cup holder, and it's 2 minutes before I put the car in gear. What do I want out of the day? Not
Yeah.
what's on my
Being mindful.
schedule, what's on my to-do list, but I want to have a meaningful conversation with one coworker today. It could
Yeah.
be a 2-minute conversation, but something to kind of set quiet peace your day so that you just have those 2 minutes. And it's crazy just the things that'll pop into your head of what needs done. And when you do those things that connect to a person,
Yeah.
right? I have decided I am going to send a text to a friend I haven't spoken to in 6 months,
Yeah.
right? And then we send the text later. And the response that we get, or connect with somebody at work, like find a way to connect with other people somewhere. Like that's a great way to spend that kind of 2 minute before you put the car in gear. And what you get back in information and conversation or whatever is so can spark things in your brain you've never imagined because you never
Yeah.
saw it that way.
I love that. And I even think about like a 2 minute connection with yourself too, right? Like
Absolutely.
to start out the day. Now, earlier before we got on, you were talking too about burnout. And I don't know if that's probably some of what you work with clients on. So what are some signs that people are heading into burnout and what can they do to reverse that?
So some of my signs, I went through burnout, so I had to learn a very, very hard way. And it was something that definitely looking back, I traveled with the 100 count acetaminophen and ibuprofen bottles
Yeah.
each. There was 100 in one and 100 in the other. There was a stash in the car. There was a stash in our restaurants. Because women get headaches and we get headaches and that's normal and we make excuses that way. I have back pain. Well, you've had kids. Of course you have back pain. So that's just and you fluff these things off as all women have back pain. It's just the norm. That's what being a woman and getting older looks like. And so we start to slough these things off. One of the big ones that I should have realized that now I can look back on, there were multiple illnesses that were disrupting every day, like just severe nausea, that no nausea medicine, no antacid. And so, there was going to a doctor constantly. There were days I couldn't put food in my stomach and just the
Yeah.
thought of food, the smell of food. And I worked in a restaurant, so that's not a really fun place to be when that's happening. And they ran every test under the sun, and it was everything is absolutely perfect. And so that would happen a lot. And my husband looks back, he's like, the medical bills, because we were trying to figure out what was wrong, that always had no answer. Those are some
That's a
pretty
good sign.
big red
Yep.
flags that it is nothing to do with your physical health. It very much is your mental health
Yeah.
and your overall well-being that's affected. If I had probably dug in more and given myself time, because we can't stop, we can't pause, we don't have time. Everybody else's expectation of us doesn't allow us to take care of ourselves. So if I had given myself permission to go, I'm gonna take care of me for a minute and figure some of these things out, I probably would have found it, but we don't allow ourselves those minutes. We'll learn. We'll go read a productivity book. We'll go read a leadership book. We'll go read any of these, but we won't go read or look into some of these other things because they're so much harder and they're so much more personal. So
Yeah, I
it's
think
hard to
that's what
face.
I find is like when people start to dig around in their shadow, right? Like there's fear
Yes.
around it, which is false evidence appearing real. And so people will have some fear about that and, not want to delve into that. So yeah, so thank you for that because I think it's really important. I talk a lot about integrating your head and your heart and your body and your intuition. And so, like, really listening to our bodies when it's saying
Yeah.
things, and the body definitely can tell us when we're starting down that path. And, there are seasons for things, right? And so there might be a spike in certain things, but I'm not a lover of the word balance. I used to use like work life
Yeah.
satisfaction, right? Because whenever there was balance, it's always like, oh, when's the shit gonna hit the fan, right? Like, how's
It
this
should
gonna
be,
happen?
yes, they
Yeah,
should weigh the same and
right.
like, yeah,
Which
that's
isn't
not
always the
happening every
case.
day.
It's like a dance, right? And it's like an infinity cycle. It just kind of dances around. So, yeah. So, thank you for sharing all of that. And so, to kind of close us up today, if someone wanted to learn more about you, what you do, where would you send them?
So I've made it super easy. So on social platforms, it's all the same at Coach Erin Treacy. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's my own personal LinkedIn page, just Erin Treacy there. Tracy is spelled Irish Tracy, which is Treacy. So that's always the one that catches folks. And then the website's the same thing at coacherintracy.com. So it's pretty clean and simple across the board. So if you can't get one, you get the other. And that way I can show up for folks where they are and make it simple
Absolutely.
as I can for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll have that in the show notes, folks. But before we leave, for many of you that have been listeners, I like to ask this question. What if you could look back and think about a book that's either been impactful to you or that you're reading right now? Because I like to leave the listeners,
Yeah.
and frankly, then I add to my book list of things that I'm reading too. What is a book that you would recommend?
So it's actually one of my favorites. I actually keep it like this is my desk, so it's literally like right over there. It's the Women of No Importance. It's absolutely amazing. It's about women during World War II who are actually secret spies and in some cases double agents, and how integral they were to be able to get messages through some of the major parts of Paris and other underground places. So it really shows some resilience and creativity of women. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of my faves. So
And who's the
I
author?
suggest that book to everybody.
Who's the author? Yeah, look it up for me.
Yep. Oh, Woman of No Importance.
Sorry. The Woman of No
Sonia
Importance.
Purnell.
Sonia.
Purnell.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. I will definitely look at that. One of my favorite fiction books is The Nightingale, which talks about two sisters and one is a spy. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And then if we were to go out to the streaming platform that you tend to listen to, what would be considered your favorite song?
So I don't know that I have a favorite song, but the band I do on repeat is
Yeah.
I enjoy a good Zach Brown band
Oh, yeah.
because it can go kind of both ways. It can give me a little edgy on some days when you need like the pep up, and it can also be the chill, relax, sit at the beach. We all know Toes in the
Absolutely.
Water,
Yep.
but there's some other ones on there that'll get you all wound up too. So the mood will hit somewhere in that window of a Zach Brown several
Yeah.
years of albums. I
I
love
love it.
those.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you so much, Erin, for being on. And thank you to those of you listening for being here. And do me a solid and do Erin a solid that if you feel like you need to, there are people in your life that need to hear this message about burnout, about managing your time, about someone that started in a completely different career and is now doing something completely different to lead her lit up life. Please share this with someone if you find that it would be helpful for them. And Erin, thank you again for being on. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate it. With that, folks, it's a wrap, and we will see you in a week or two. I keep forgetting that I'm not doing these weekly anymore. So everybody have a great couple weeks. Okay, ciao. Thank you for being here and for choosing to spend your time in this conversation. If this work resonates with you, subscribe to the podcast and stay with us as we continue to explore what it means to lead, grow, and live with intention. Let's build your version of the lit up life. I'll see you in the next episode.